Now in this lecture we are going to compare top-down approach with the bottom-up approach. Now before comparing them, let's look at the Fibonacci series problem and see how this is different in case of bottom-up and top-down problem and in case of divide and conquer problems. Now if we calculate the problem of Fibonacci series using dynamic programming, either top-down or bottom-up approach, the time complexity improves. So in this case, to solve this problem is very time efficient. But in the case of divide and conquer algorithm, the time complexity for Fibonacci series is not efficient because it takes exponential time complexity. Now we have explained these time complexities in our previous lectures. Now let's see what's the difference between them to understand the clear picture of this. Now in this picture you can see the time complexities. So this orange line over here shows the exponential time complexity and this green line over here shows ON time complexity. Now here you can easily see that in case of exponential time complexity, if we want to process 10 elements, the operations will take 1000 operations. But in case of ON time complexity, if you want to process 10 elements, the operations is very less. So if you look at this, it's around 20 or 30. So you can easily see the differences between exponential and ON time complexity. So the time complexity improves very efficiently in case of dynamic programming if we solve this problem using dynamic programming. Now that's why the dynamic programming approach is more efficient than the divide and conquer problems, but we cannot always solve the divide and conquer problems using dynamic program. So in case if we can solve it, it's advisable to use dynamic program. Now let's look at the differences between top-down and bottom-up approach. Now if we compare these two approaches over here, in case of easiness, top-down approach is very easy because this is the extension to the divide and conquer algorithm. Now in the previous section we have explained how can you come up with the divide and conquer approach. So here the technique was we need to divide the problem into subproblems and find out the solution to the subproblems. So that's why this is very easy. But to find the solution for the bottom-up approach, it's very difficult because we need to find the first subproblem, then come up with the main problem. If you find out the logic, then the implementation becomes easier, but it's always difficult to find out the logic for bottom-up approach. Now in case of runtime, top-down method is very slow because here we are using recursion. So sometimes we are calling the same method 3 or 4 times. So this affects the performance. So that's why the runtime for top-down method is very slow. But in case of bottom-up approach, it performs fast because in this case we are eliminating recursion. So if we don't have recursion, it performs efficiently. Now in case of space efficiency, top-down method is using stack in the memory because when we call a method recursively, we have to use stack in the memory because we are keeping the values of the recursion in the stack, and when we come to that value we are taking from there. So unnecessary use of stack is occurring during the top-down method. But in case of bottom-up method, stack is not used. So we are using memory, but we are not using the stack memory. So that's why it's very efficient in case of bottom-up approach. Now the main question is when we can use which option. So in case you need a quick solution, for example, if you are in the interview and the interviewer asks for a quick solution, you can use top-down method because in this case, by using recursion, you can find quick solution and it's very easy to implement. Now in case if you have enough time and you want to come with an efficient solution, so in this case you need to use bottom-up approach. It's difficult to come up with bottom-up approach, but it's very efficient. So that's why if you need efficient solution and if you have enough time, you need to use bottom-up approach. But if you don't have time and if you need a quick solution for just small problem, you can use top-down solution. So in the interview, it depends on the interviewer. They mainly ask for quick solution, but if you have time, you can show both these solutions over here. So hopefully everything is clear about these two methods. Now from the next lecture, we will look at different types of problems that can be solved using dynamic programming efficiently. So see you in the next lecture.